Hello everyone and welcome to my coloring corner. Today is Fun Stuff Friday and we've got a bit of fun stuff. Arrtx, the Pirate Pencils, has created a soft pastel set. Arrtx has several different products such as pastels, pencils, markers, you name it, they have it. I do believe they even have some paint stuff and that sort of thing as well. They have teamed up with Paul Rubin and has created has a set of the Paul Rubin oil pastels as well. So the soft pastels are, of course, a chalk pastel. They can be used for coloring, they can be used for backgrounds, they can be used for all sorts of things. So let's take a look at the set. It's a 48 color set. Comes in a really sturdy box. I will say that Amazon is not very kind to their shipping process. It does have a layer of foam in here, but it's not very thick. And then it, of course, has the swatch chart. And then these are all the colors and names and numbers on the pastels. So if you do a swatch chart, I haven't done mine yet. If you do a swatch chart, it has names, numbers. It even has the mixtures of pigments, which is great. That's like one of the first things I noticed is that they have the listing on there for the pigment mixtures. Like this one here is PB29 and PV23. So it tells artists, severe art, and like professional artists exactly what colors they're using. Now mine were not treated very kindly. I did get some dust from other pastels throughout the set, so I will be cleaning them as I go. I have used these on a page, and I did send that page to Arrtx, and I did post that in Facebook. But we're going to use them again on another page today, just so that you can see how easily they lay down, how pretty they are, and all that fun stuff. So this is a page from Nori Art Coloring. It is a AI assisted artist that is absolutely beautiful. She is such a wonderful woman. I did find out that she does have her own printed books as well as her Etsy account. So I will be listing below the video her Etsy account, which is currently having a 50% off sale, as well as her book listings. Of course, they're not on sale, but they are available in printed format, both in spiral bound as well as regular coloring books. All right, let's get started here. I've got a kneaded eraser, which works great for picking up the pastel. I also have some paper stumps, which I will use for the finer details, as well as moving things around. As you can see, this page has a lot of really fine details, so that's why we're going to use the paper stumps. So we're going to get started with this one here, which is S325, and S325 is Azure. So we're going to start with the Azure. Wipe my fingers off. Now I'm going to try very hard not to touch the page without some sort of protection. And I'm going to just lay this down in our dark shadowy areas here. And as you can see, it just lays down so nicely. Now we're going to take our paper stump and we're just going to rub that in. The paper stump allows me to pick up and move some of the pigment into those areas that I've missed with just laying it down. It does thin the pigment out a little bit, but that's okay because we're going to be adding other pigment into it as well. Now, unlike colored pencils, you don't want to lay your light pigment right over top of your dark pigment. You are going to be able to blend these together on the edges. You can also go over top and blend together, but it will lighten your darker pigments quite a bit. So if you don't want that to happen, don't lay them right on top of each other, because the lighter pigments are quite opaque. They're definitely not translucent. So just going to rub as much of this pigment into the page as I can. And we're just going to come this way with it. Now, Nori Art coloring, her pages are great for this because the amount of information on the page is fantastic. You can definitely utilize the grayscale to your advantage with these pastels. So I know this is not our typical Fun Stuff Friday. I don't normally go through and do a coloring, but to be honest, pastels are not something I use a lot of, so I really don't know how to test them or swatch them or anything like that, so I haven't even swatched these. I will at some point put together a swatch chart, and I will list the swatch chart in the information below the video. However, I have not gotten to that point with them. I've just been playing with them and coloring with them. I have some pastel pencils, and those I have swatched as pencils, as I would normally with pencils. But I haven't swatched these because they're just so different than pencils. All right, so I'm going to dust that off. Now, in order to dust it off, I have a brush here. Where did I put it? I put it somewhere. Where did I put that brush? I don't know where my brush is. I have a special brush just for pastels, and now I can't find it. Okay, well, this one will do. So I'm not going to touch the page itself. I'm just going to wave above it with my brush. Just moving that pigment off the page. Now, you can also do this with a blower. I wouldn't use a heat gun, but they have things now that you can use to clean out your PCs, sort of like compressed air, but it's an electric one that you charge up. So I have one, but I didn't grab it. It's in my husband's office because he uses it to clean his PC. Okay, so I'm just coming through and putting in the shadow areas on the cup. So this is water, so that's why I'm doing it in blue. There is a really cute little ducky here, and some rocks and some different vines and that sort of thing. Just going to move this around and get it into those shadows. So as you can see, it just blends right into the page. I will also do an area and see if it erases fairly well. For my patrons out there, you will find a new post today. I hope that you enjoy it. Arrtx, the soft pastels are on sale as well, I do believe. At least they were the last time I checked. So you can get these pastels on sale right now as well. I will, of course, list the link for the pastels below the video, both on Amazon as well as on the Arrtx website. The Amazon link will be an affiliate link, of course, because I am an Amazon affiliate. And even though it doesn't cost you anything extra, they do pay me a little bit, a couple of pennies, just to tell you guys different products. All right, now we're going to go in with a lighter blue. This one is pale. They're really hard to see. So, nope, pine green. This one is called pine green. I don't know why that would be called pine green. It's a really light blue. But they call it pine green, so that's what we'll call it. Again, I'm trying not to touch the page itself with my fingers. For two reasons. One, the page will pick up the oils off your fingers. And for two, if you're not careful, you can end up putting color where you don't want color to be from picking it up from your fingers. So I'm just wiping off my stub here. And we're just going to blend this into that darker blue. I'm not going to be too concerned about going over because I'm going to use the eraser, if need be, on the smaller areas. And as you can see, you can just blend that right into the edge there, and it just looks like a gradient blend, which is fantastic. I flip this over just so that I can get into those deeper areas around the rocks. Now, as long as you don't mind the scritchy sound, you can definitely use a paper stump. That's what I'm using here. Or another thing that I have found that works very, very well is a silicone tool. And you just move it around the same way you do with your paper stump. And you don't get that scritchy, scritchy noise. However, if there's not a lot of pigment down, you will get a squeaky, squeaky noise. I do find that this does create less dust than the, like it leaves less dust on the page than the paper stump. Oh, we've got a boo-boo there. So let's see if this will erase. So all we do is we just pick it up. We don't need to go back and forth on it, just dabby dabby, and it will pick it up. And then mash it in, like so. Again, just blending it into that other color there, the darker color. Now I do find that it does use more, like it just flattens it in. It doesn't really move it around a whole lot. So it is a great tool for using when you are trying to just build that color in, push it down into the page. Of course, if you find that it's not moving it as far as you want it to move, you can use your paper stump and get it to move a little bit further. And then go back over it with your silicone tool and blend it in. Just make sure that you don't go over the edge. Like me. And then we'll take our tool and we'll just rub that in. It's just going to blend that all together, like so. Now I do feel that I need a little bit more of that light blue on the edges there. So I'm just going to take a little tiny bit of it. I wish they were a little bit thinner for the details, but that's what erasers are for. So. Just going to take my tool here, like so. Now another thing that you can do, now that we're getting up into here a little bit more, where we're getting into more of the details and we want more different colors and that sort of thing. We've got the water covered here. And I don't know why I'm bleeding, but I didn't cut anything. But it seems that my fingernail is bleeding. And of course Shiloh's going to hack up a hairball. Alright, so we're done with the blue areas. Now we're going to start going into some of our green areas. So we're going to use this one here, which is 520. And I want to use this, but I don't want it to be extremely deep on the page. So I'm going to grab my palette so that we can put that down on the palette and pick it up with the finer tool. Just have to grab my palette. I put it in the dishwasher to wash it. Now, the one thing I have noticed with these pastels is that the greens tend to, what's the word? Stain my clothing. I was wearing a very nice teal blue outfit the last time I used these that is now got green all over it. So as you can see, you can put it down on your palette the same way you do with the King Art gel sticks and that sort of thing. And just pick it up with your brush or your stub and just put it into place. Now I have some brushes as well. I wonder if those will work as well. I should pull those out too. I've been very cautious on what to use with them. So I know this video is going to be a little bit longer than our typical Fun Stuff Friday, but I really want to showcase the different things that you can do with the soft pastels, because a lot of people use them specifically for backgrounds, and they don't need to be only used for backgrounds. You can definitely use them to color an entire picture. Don't be afraid of the unknown with them. Because even though they are a little bit different, they are not scary. They, literally you can get some really good details with your colors. They don't completely obscure any of the finer details. The only thing that you really have to worry about with them is whether or not your hand is going to rub across them. That's one of the main worries and concerns, is if your hand's going to rub across them, whether or not you're going to rub off your color. So as you can see, the greens go down quite nice. You can build on top with the darker green. And if you really want it quite dark, you just tap it in, which leaves more of the pigment down. Like under here, I want this part here really dark. Same with this part and this part. And again, if there's more pigment there than you require, you just blow it off. Like so. And then I want to take this green, just because they're closer to the light source there, which is weird because the light source is behind it, but that's the way pictures go. It's just getting touched by the moonlight pouring down off of the night sky. That's it, yeah. And you can just continue to add color. The pastel doesn't take up a whole lot of the tooth. So even after you're done with the pastel itself, you can use the pastel just as a base color. And then you can come back through and get some of those finer details with your colored pencils, your gel pens, whatever you want to come back through with. Which to me is really, really good because sometimes getting to the finer details with pastels can be a little difficult and scary. Like it scares me. Um, but like I said, it's just paper. This is just printed on the Nina cardstock, so it's just paper. That's all it is. And you don't have to be afraid of paper. I know, do as I say, not as I do, because I do get afraid of paper. I have to tell myself constantly, it's just paper. If it turns out terrible, we can reprint it and just do it again. Hello, Mr. Choo Choo Train. So I'm just putting in the little bits of plant life on the scene in the water here. And like I said, they're very, very, very tiny little details. And sometimes with tiny little details, you just have to do your best with them. And I'm not going to color the ducky. Alright, so now we're going to take our gray. Let's take this one first. And we will do just a little bit on here with the gray. I'm not going to do the whole picture, but I do want to get some of the finer details down at the bottom done. I know I should have started at the top and worked my way down, but that's okay. And we've got our little ducky here, so I want to put a little tiny bit of brown in there for our little ducky friend. Who is sleeping down there. Just getting that gray on top of the rocks there. Like so. Then we can take some light gray. And again, I'm not using a whole lot. I'm just putting down just a little tiny bit. And if you find that the getting into these really tiny details with the pastel is difficult, don't do it. Do this part in colored pencil. The Arrtx colored pencils do work very, very well with these. Just letting you know. I have colored a page with these as well as the Arrtx colored pencils, and they did go together very nicely. I'm going to take this yellow and we're just going to fill in these dots here. And then we'll turn the page and then I'll do the moon and some on the house as well as the trees. So we've got moonlight hitting everything, so there is going to be some yellows added as well for that moonlight. Now I just want a little bit of that blue on the edge of the cup here. Don't want too much of it because there's moonlight hitting it. Which is fine because I had a bit of yellow on there too, so kind of added to that, giving that the moonlight look, which is cool. Like I said, it does blend together. You can blend those colors together quite nicely. Just adding just a little bit of this yellow into the edge of the cup here, where it's showing that the moonlight is touching it. Which is also defining the cup from Sorry about that. For some reason my headset just completely turned off. Hold on one second. I'm going to put the charger in it. Maybe it just didn't charge enough. 1 second. Okay, so hopefully that still is better. Hopefully that's still working. I don't know why it does that every once in a while. It just says, yeah, no, I'm not going to. It's going to pick up a little bit of that blue and fill in a few of the areas that I didn't put enough in. And like I said, the great thing with this is you can base the entire thing and go back through with your pencils and fill in the shadowy areas, fill in the details if you so choose. So I'm just taking it directly off of the pastel at this moment. Literally, I'm rubbing the tip of my paper stump onto the back of the pastel and just picking up some of that pastel for the lighter areas here that I missed, like so. Alright, so we're going to turn this around and we're going to do the top part of the house here. And we're going to try, sorry if I'm making anybody dizzy, we're going to try to build that color on the moon as well as the house. So like I said, the great thing with pastels is that they are very, what's the word? Easy to move around, easy to build the color. So we're going to start with the dark gray that we have on our palette. We're going to, of course, put that in to our crevices of the moon, our craters. Now you can clean off your paper stumps just with a bit of paper towel. So don't worry too much about how you're going to clean that off. You can also clean it off with a sharpener. So if it gets too dirty and you're really concerned about it, just use your sharpener. Now I'm going in with that lighter gray more of the lighter gray. So this one is 705. The darker gray that I used is 710. Now this is a 48 set. I don't know if they're going to come out with a bigger set or not. By the way that the numbering is on them, suggests that maybe they are. Now I was able to color an entire page with these, and it only took me about 3 hours to do the whole page, and that was including adding the bits for the detail. So all the detail work was also added with the colored pencil in that time. So it worked out quite well and very quickly. However, that page was a little less detailed than this. Now I'm going over it with some yellow cream color. And I'm just blending that all in together. Just going to get a bit of a brighter yellow in there as well. And then just going to move that around. And then we're going to add some white all the way around it. Now I'm going to go directly on the page with this. Just very carefully, because I want to spread that white out into the page there. So I'm going to actually clean off my brush or my paper stump. And the only way, one of the ways that you can do that is just with a bit of sandpaper that comes with the stumps. This is not my favorite method of cleaning these because it does take the tip off the stump, but it also tears the stump, and I don't like that. So I tend to prefer to use, especially with my oil pastels, the pumice stone. It's just a soft pumice, and it works very nicely. Now I'm just going to put in those areas that are misty there. So I'm just going to put a few bits of white. Coming off of there. Now when you blend that in, you can move it around. And as you can see, one of the great things about these is that you can blend those lines right out of it. You don't have that. I put the line there and it's going to stay there kind of look to it. It actually blends that line out, which is what I wanted to show you here, is even though you've put a hard line down, that hard line is not going to stay. I have had some pastels, pastel pencils especially, where if I put that hard line down, it stays. It's not going to blend out. And there we have our moon. Now I feel that this has got a little bit too far out here, so I'm just going to pick that up. Pick up any remnants of the sharpening as well, because I've got little bits of paper from the sharpening that fell on the page. Alright, so there we have our moon done. Now we're going to put the moonlight onto the house. Keeping an eye on the time because I don't like making these videos really, really long. But I want to show you everything that this set can do. So I put down some yellow. So this one was 101, but I'm also going to put some white next to it here. And we're going to blend those together because I want it to have a nice light yellow. So we're just going to blend those two together on my paper stump. And we're just going to put that in here. Like so. As well as the windows because they are lit up. And you can tell they are lit up because their light is hitting there. And we've got some light here. And down there. So I'm just going through and adding all of those light bits. So anywhere that we have a light coming through, I'm adding that light. Like so. Now there's a bit of light coming off of the moon onto this tree here. And then off of the windows here. Same with here. We've got the moonlight coming off of it here. Like so. And we've got little bits of moonlight coming through there as well. I'm not going to put a whole bunch because I'll start adding the light green to that. Alright. So I'm just trying to make sure that I have all the lighted areas covered so that when I add the roof colors, I can blend those into that light color. So now we're going to start with our roof colors. And we've got some over here as well. And our chimneys. Okay, so I'm going to turn my palette. And we're going to start adding our roof colors. So I need brown, which is this one. And I need this one. I think it's this one. Yeah. So I'm going to mix these two colors to get the lightest brown that I need. Coming off of the light. Like so. Now I'm just going to slowly blend that into that light yellow color, building that roof color. Because we don't want it to be stark yellow, we want it to be the same color as the roof, just a lot lighter. So we're going to leave some of that light yellow in there, but we're going to start moving that roof color into it as well. Giving us a bit of a light source there. Okay, now we're going to come down here with more of the darker roof color. Still quite light, but a bit darker. And then we're going to come into it with dark brown, which should be this one. And as you can see, these browns are quite red. So if you don't want a reddy brown, of course, put a little bit of black in it. And we're going to come up through here in our shadows. With the dark brown. Just coming through and adding some shadowy areas, especially to the turrets here, the chimneys. And of course you could do these in, deeper colors such as blacks or grays. I'm going to take that light color there. I'm just going to start blending that into the yellow. Like so. Alright, and then we're going to go on to the other side here with our light color, and then up under here with our dark color. Hopefully the sound of the wire on my headset isn't driving you crazy. It's driving me crazy. I'm not used to having the wire plugged into it while I'm wearing it. But we do what we gotta do. The headset said, hey, I for some reason did not charge overnight, so I'm gonna be a pain in your butt. You better charge me. So just coming through, doing the darker areas with that dark brown. Trying not to touch anywhere that has been colored with the pastel and not put my hand in things. So far I've been okay. I've done it a couple of times. But it is a challenge, especially when you have limited space. So we're going to finish up the house here. We're going to do one of the trees. And then I think we're going to, we'll do one of the flowers too, just so that you can see that there are pretty colors in here. It's not just browns and blues and greens. And then I think we will be all done with the demonstration of the pastels. And as you can see, they are, this is just regular Nina cardstock. The grayscale of this page, it does give you a fantastic opportunity to know where to put those colors. But you can do this on liner. You can do this pretty much anywhere that you want to do this. Don't be afraid of the unknown. If you have never used soft pastels for anything more than your backgrounds, that sort of thing, pull them out and just play with them. Just have some fun with them. Go through and try some colors out on different coloring pages. Use your stumps, use your fingers, use whatever you want to use, and just play with them a little bit. You will find that they're not as difficult to use as you would expect. And the great thing about it is it's just paper. With soft pastels, it's even more of a I can do this thing, because sometimes, depending upon how much soft pastel you put down and how pigmented the pastels are, you can just take an eraser to it and erase it. But of course that is dependent on how pigmented the pastels are and how much you put down, how much you've rubbed it into the page, that sort of thing. Although the electric eraser does do a fantastic job for small details in erasing those and getting those all cleaned up. Alright, just coming through. I'm going to put down a little bit more of that 177. And we're going to just take a little bit more of this brown and put it in there. And as you can tell, I'm just taking that lighter color and I'm blending it right in to the darker color. pushing it into those shadows, which allows the highlights to stand tall, you know, stand out. Gives us a lovely, lovely house color. A little bit of dark in here. And of course you can go back and retouch and build the color up a little bit if you need to. You can layer these colors. They do layer quite nicely. Okay. They do seem to mix quite well as well, which is fantastic because 48 colors is a lot of colors, especially for a pastel set. But when you're used to really large pencil sets and that sort of thing, and you're coloring with a smaller set, you do tend to miss some of the colors that you have in your pencil sets. Just saying. I do anyway. So I'm just going to blow that off. And then we're going to start in on this tree. So I'm going to take the green pastel that I had, blue greens. I'm going to wipe off the blue the best I can, and then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to pick up some of this light green, and we're going to start up here in that yellowed area, and we're just going to put those light greens everywhere that the moonlight is hitting our tree. Even if we've got yellow there, we're going to put the light green there as well. The reason for this is because the yellow is going to show the color of the moon, but the light green is going to show the light area. The fact that the light is hitting it, and that is still a green tree. Now if this was a pink tree, I would do that with a pink. Like this tree over here, we may make that pink. Alright. So as soon as we have most of our lit up areas covered, now we can start going into the darker areas. And we're going to pick up some of our dark green for that. And we're just going to go into those darker areas and fill them in. Even if they're got a little bit of light there, that's fine as well. Just go right under it and blend it into it. Blending it into it allows you to see the shadow, but allows you to see a little bit of that depth and color of the tree as well. Even though the light has hit that tree, it's still going to be a green tree. Now you can go very dark with this and just do the entire dark area of the tree in blacks or in really dark greens, and only leave that light area showing, which you could definitely do. It would not hurt the page at all. It would actually give it a very different look that looks really cool. So the great thing about pastels is you can do pretty much anything with them. and it'll look cool. Okay, so I'm running out of the green, so I need to put some more dark green down. Coming in underneath the edges of the tree here, where the shadow, of course, is not going to, where the light, of course, is not going to hit as much. Dark side of the tree, just like the dark side of the moon, you know. And I will finish this. If we don't finish it here, I will finish this on my own and post it on Instagram as well as on Facebook. So if you are a part of my Facebook group, you know, it will be posted there as well as on Instagram for those of you who are not a part of my Facebook group. And, you know, you don't have to be a part of my Facebook group. You know, it's not mandatory or necessary or anything like that. But if you want to hang out and show off some of the pages that you've colored, please do feel free to join my Facebook group because I would love to see them. I'm just coming through with that brown tones. For the wood. Getting that tree looking like a tree. Like so. Alright, so now we're going to start adding some of the prettier colors because, you know, they do have some very, very pretty colors. I'm just going to take my paper towel here and I'm going to try to keep my hand under it. I'm going to wipe off my stick here. And we're going to take some purple, first of all. So that one is 433. And we're going to pick that up and we're just going to drop it all down in our flowers here. And I am quite sure there's some green in there too, and I will come back through with the pencil and add the green. I could do it with the green that's on here, but I want to be a little bit more detailed with it. Now I'm coloring the plants here as if they've overgrown their planter boxes and are just hanging down the side of the building. And growing upwards a bit here. Like so. And then we'll do the same thing down here at the bottom. For these little flowers here. Alright, now we're going to wipe off the purple, and we're going to turn that tree into a pink tree. So we're going to use pink, which is this one here. We've already got some yellow down, which will give us our highlight area and lighten the pink in the areas that we want that highlight in. So I'm just going to pick up some of the pink, and we're just going to start moving it into that yellow. Like so. And then for our deeper areas, we're going to take this one here, which is a deep purpley pink. Almost a fuchsia. It probably is fuchsia, but it's all over the place in my... And we're just going to start adding it into those dark areas. Building that darker pink color there. Like so. I'll wipe that off, and then we're going to take a little bit more of this pink and we're just going to blend it in. Like that. And there we have our pink house. Now we're going to do the same thing down here with the lilies. We're going to take the purpley pink and we're going to put in our shadow area. And I'm going to try to stay on screen and move that over a bit. Excuse me. I just inhaled some. Hold on one sec. I breathed the wrong way and I think I inhaled a bit of dust. Alright. And before anybody says, well, you should be wearing a mask, I'm not, and I don't want to hear about it. I'm not putting down huge amounts, so a mask is not exactly necessary. If I was putting down great big huge layers of color and having dust flying up in my face, then I would find a mask necessary, but for the little bit of dust that's coming up, I don't find it necessary. Trying not to put my hand on everything as well as move things around. It's starting to get difficult. And this is why I'm wearing long sleeves. So I'm just doing these flowers here. This type of flower, I'm just doing it all the same. It looks like a water lily to me, so I'm just doing them in those water lily colors. Alright, now I'm just going to wipe that clean. I'll do the other water lilies the same. And then we're going to take our pink And we're just going to fill it in. Leaving a little bit of that white at the very tip of the flower for the light source. And of course, when you spray fixative on this, it will brighten those colors up. So if it looks a little pale, don't worry about it too much. When you spray the fixative on it, as long as you have enough pastel down to cover the area and rubbed into the area, it will brighten those colors right up. So even though it doesn't look very bright while you're doing it, you will find that it is a lot brighter than it looks. Alright, now we're going to take some of that yellow from up here. And we're going to put it in here. And we're going to put a little bit on the edges up here. Take a little bit of it and put it on the edges here as well. Just to keep those two separated there, like so. Alright, now we're going to take some more of that pink because we've got another flower there. And I'm going to try to stay on screen. Like so. Now we're going to take the yellow and put it in the center. Like that. Alright, so that is those. Now we're going to do this area here in the center. I'm also going to take some purple. Where's the one that I used for the purple? This one. And we're going to put the purple here. Like so. And we'll put it over here on the other side just to even it out. Like that. Alright, now we're going to take our light green. And we're going to start covering this area here. And of course I will go through and finish all the different flowers and their leaves and all that fun stuff as well. off screen, but this gives you a good idea of how it's going to look. Um, and of course, this is all just done with the Arrtx soft pastels. This is a 48 color pastel set, and it blends just beautifully. It is so easy to use that you can easily just build your colors. The Nori Art coloring pages do give you the ability to know where to put your colors a little bit more, but that is the same way that most grayscales are. Some grayscales are a little bit darker, and the darker grayscales may show the color a little bit better from the pastels than the lighter grayscale. As you could probably tell from up here where the white and the yellow is on the black. You're going to get a better color show on a darker grayscale if you choose to use a grayscale for this. But as you can see, I'm building that color right on top of each other and getting those shadow lines, getting the blend, and still covering up that gray. Building that color in to the gray itself so that when we spray it, it's not going to show through. The one thing I will say about doing pastel over grayscale is that you do have to make sure that you have enough color there and that your printer ink or the ink that the company has printed on is not going to bleed through when you spray it with your fixative. If you blend this into the page hard enough, you may not even need a fixative. Sometimes just pushing that pigment into the paper fixes it into place, so you may not even need a fixative. Alright, so there we have that. Of course, we've used our greens, we've used our browns, we've used our yellows, we've used whites, blues, pinks, purples. We've tried to use pretty much every color available in the set, at least one variation or another. And as you can see, we're almost done. We've only been going for about an hour and 19 minutes. I've got a couple more flowers to do and some more greenery to do, and that's it. Then we're done. I can definitely go through and add more detail, finer detail work to it with some colored pencils. But is it necessary? Not really. It's not. The detail is something that is easily accomplished even with the pastel, with the nature of the pastel, just by putting it on a palette and using a paper stump or a spatula or anything like that. So in actuality, you do not need to actually put colored pencil over this to redefine areas. You can definitely do that with the pastels. Nori Art is having a 50% off sale on her Etsy store. So of course, head on over there. She does have a store that produces paper books or hard books. So it's not a PDF, it is an actual book. You can get that in a spiral bound perforated book for about $14 a book, which is really, really good. And I will, of course, list that link there as well. I do believe the Arrtx pastels are on sale, And again, I'm going to show you the pastels themselves. They're a very lovely set of pastels. And like I said, mine did come a little bit shaken around. My Amazon deliverer was not very nice to them. This is not a problem of Arrtx's. It is an Amazon issue. I have seen many other people who have received their pastels in perfect condition. It's just my Amazon delivery person is not very nice with things. So we have a fantastic range of colors going from white all the way through your pinks into your oranges and reds. That is one color we didn't use in here, and I might use it on one of the on this flower. I'll use some reds and browns and oranges in that flower, just because we haven't used any yet. Blues into our purples, and dark greens into our browns, grays, and black. Now I will say the black in here is not a deep black. It does have a black color with a bit of a gray tone to it, which is perfectly fine. It actually works out quite nicely, so you don't have a stark black background. You can do some variations with it. If you lay it down heavy enough, you can definitely get it to be a very dark black background, I mean. All right, guys, so with that, I would like to say thank you very much to Arrtx for sending me these for review. Well, actually, they didn't even really send them to me for review. I actually won them on a thing. They asked if anybody wanted to try them out, and I was one of the few that were chosen to try them out. And they asked me to post some pictures and whatnot, but I told them that I would do a review on Amazon or on YouTube as well. And they were quite happy to hear that. So thank you very much, Arrtx, for sending me these and trying to make sure that I got them all in one piece. Again, the Arrtx pastels were on sale yesterday. I don't know if they are still on sale today. I do believe so. Let me quickly check that, just because I may be wrong. Sometimes I'm wrong. Not very often, but sometimes I'm wrong. So let's take a look. Arrtx Soft Pastels. 48 set, yes, is still currently on sale for 15% off. So you can definitely get these on sale for $33.99, which is not too bad. These are quite pigmented. They are a very soft pastel. You can definitely blend them together into a beautiful gradients, as well as creating new colors. So I don't think that's an overly high price. Even their regular price of $40 I don't think is an overly high price for the pastels. Like I said, I do have other pastels that are chalk pastels, and they're not even nearly as nice as these. So the oil pastels I have are the Paul Rubens, so I assume that they would be the same oil pastels as the oil pastels that Arrtx has. But yeah, so there are the wonderful pastels. They come in a little chunky round barrel shaped form. They're not those skinny little squares. These are quite a chunky round barrel. Like I said, they will get on your fingers and everywhere else if you're not careful. Try to make sure that you keep a paper towel or a washcloth close by so that you can get that off your hands. Don't get the greens on your clothes. I was using them. Actually, I wasn't using them. I was cleaning off the original set that they sent me because the original set had a couple of broken ones. Thanks, Amazon. And I was just trying to clean them off and hopefully salvage the set. And the outfit I was wearing was a pale blue, and now it's a pale green blue because I had green dust all over myself. And yeah, I washed it 4 times and it never came out. So be very careful with the darker colors, especially that they are extremely highly pigmented. So most of the time you can wash it off your skin with soap and water. I did not have any problems with that. However, washing it out of your clothes can be, I have found, can be an issue. The page that we were working on, of course, is a Nori art page. This is called Miniature Houses or Miniature Fairy, Miniature Houses, I think. Um, and I will leave a link to these in her Etsy store. She also has these as a printed book as well on the Lulu site. So I will post the link to the Lulu store as well as to her Etsy store. She has some very new PDFs that have gone in recently. One is especially new today. So, take a look at it. It's just lovely. It's new, some new fairy houses and different houses. They're really, really cute. I think this one's called Miniature Houses or Miniature Fairy Houses. But I just love them. They're just adorable. And I will finish this and I will post it on Facebook or Etsy. And I will finish it with just the pastels. And I will also post it to the Arrtx Facebook group. All right, guys, with that, my final impressions, my final thoughts on the Arrtx soft pastels is they are definitely if you're in the market or looking for a soft pastel that blends beautifully together and doesn't break the bank. These are definitely something I would suggest and endorse and say yeah, get them. They're really nice. And they do, like I said, they blend beautifully. They cover wonderfully. They don't leave that horrible deep line when you use them directly on the page. You can easily blend that line out, which is fantastic. And the colors are just beautiful and deep and rich. And like I said, the page that I'm doing right now, it may not look like very deep colors right now, but once I spray that and put that fixative on there, it will brighten up those colors quite a bit. And as long as you have enough color on there, the gray itself will not show through. So the grayscale, even though it is a deeper grayscale, it's not going to show through the page as long as I have enough of the color on there. So with that, I would like to say always remember to like, comment, and subscribe to any YouTube artist that you enjoy. And always remember to relax, color, and stay safe, everyone. Until next time, bye-bye for now.